And welcome to Selhurst Park. My name is FM22, and this is my first save for FM22. We're playing Crystal Palace. If you look back on my channel, I played Crystal Palace a few years ago, and they're my team. I don't know why, I can't explain it to you. My dad was in the Air Force when I was growing up. We were stationed in England in the 80s. It was the early 80s. We were there from 81 to 85, and back then it was all Liverpool and Everton. And Crystal Palace back then was in the second division, so we really didn't see a lot of them on TV or anything like that. But I remember reading about them in the news, listening to them on radio, which was odd because we were out in Anglia, East Anglia, near Lakenheath. And it was just one of those things that have always kind of stuck with me. We moved around quite a bit after that. We were in Kaiserslautern for a while. Kaiserslautern is my German club. I did a stay with them last year. That was very fun. And they're an interesting team this year. The Frank de Boer experiment ended poorly, and they brought in Roy Hodgson. And Roy was an older coach, is an older coach, a little bit more staid is probably the best word for it. And Palace was, I'm going to say this a lot during the save, especially when we're looking at players. Palace was solid, but unspectacular. They're one of those teams that could be relegated, and they're one of those teams that could finish 7th or maybe even 6th in the Premier League. And frankly, I think a lot of pundits would be like, yeah, okay, that happens. This year they have, it's an interesting project. They are in the midst of rebuilding. They're starting a rebuild. When the season started, 13 players that they had on the roster last year were gone. Their contracts ended. They've re-signed a couple of players I wouldn't have signed. They've brought in a couple of players I wouldn't have brought in. That's one of the reasons our transfer budget is only $1.8 million. The club is older. We'll take a look at that here in just a minute. But for the moment, what we're looking at is the club history here. But the thing I want to point out is they have good training facilities. They have good youth facilities. They have average youth recruitment. Palace is in the middle of starting a youth recruitment movement. In real life, they just opened a new £20 million facility for youth training in that. It's very, very cool. There's a couple videos online, one of which they're flying a drone through the facility. They've got some good youth players in their setup. I think if they can go out and find some good youth players going forward, we've got some potential. Now, a lot of that this time around is going to be up to me going out and scouting and finding those youth players. And that I really don't mind doing. Dougie Freeman is the general manager. Ocean Roberts is the assistant coach. He may not be here long. We'll talk about that going forward here. And pretty much this is our expectations for this year. We're picked to finish, well, we finished 14th. They want us to enter the third round of the FA Cup, and they want us at the second round of the Carabao Cup. This year, I believe, we're picked to finish 16th. This is our current squad. This is not the formation I'm going to play. I'm very much a two-attacker up top kind of guy, which probably means we're going to be playing a 4-2-4. We'll take a look at the players on the squad here in a minute. This is our club vision. Develop players using the club youth system. Play counterattacking soccer. I tend to play a controlled possession style, but counterattacking works. Sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. I am all about that. I'm not a huge fan of signing older players. I will if I know they're not going to fall off a cliff anytime soon. But the problem with that is you don't know if they're going to fall off a cliff now or fall off a cliff next week. Or, they may trip and break their leg or ankle or hip or something like that and be out for 6 to 9 months. Who knows? End of the season, they want us to avoid relegation. They want us in the 5th round of the FA Cup, the 4th round of the Carabao Cup, and they want us to grow the club's reputation. I think if we don't get relegated, the club's reputation will grow. And, well, it's just one of those things we are going to have to wait and see. We'll schedule a press conference, meeting with the coaching staff every week. Pelham takes the hot seat. I am earning £34,000 a week. Players in the last year of their contract. This is one of the things that we're kind of hampered by and with. Victor Akinwale does have significant potential. We'll offer him a contract. Jaden Raymond has significant potential. And this potential may not pan out. That's just the way things are. We'll take those risks. Contract offer, 2-year extension clause. Montez, who's not the best. Contract offered. Tactical direction required. Club vision expectations meetings. We're going to accept that. Preseason prep. I'm going to have to import all my schedules again. Squad selection rules. English transfer window is in progress. Arsenal's already spent 167 million, but that's before Newcastle and their 200 million transfer budget have come in. We'll take a look at the transfer windows here shortly. Tactical direction required. Well, before we do that, we are going to take a look at the squads. Now, this is just the senior squad, and as you can see, we have some potential here. Michael Olise is the young winger that they bought from Reading. He has a ton of potential. Conor Gallagher is our loan player from Chelsea. Mark Guehi is a player they just brought in who also has potential. Odsonne Edouard is part of this transfer window. They paid $15 million to Celtic for him. Ebere Eze is out with a knee injury, but he's a very solid player. Joachim Anderson they just signed, but he's on vacation. He's a very solid defensive center back. Tyreek Mitchell is a very good defensive left back with potential. Luka Milivojevic, and I swear I will mispronounce his last name a freaking million times, and I'm just going to end up calling him Luka, is a very solid midfielder, but he's also at that point where he could stay this solid for 2 years, and he could fall off the cliff tomorrow. Jean-Philippe Mateta is interesting. He's a little bit older. He's 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He is on loan from Mainz, and his loan contract specifies that if he plays 15 games for us this season, we are paying them 13.2 after 12 matches. I thought it was 15. After 12 matches, we're paying Mainz $3.25 million to make his move permanent. Now, he is one of those players that is very much dependent on what the game does for him in the background. His ceiling may not be the highest. I suspect Mateta would probably top out at maybe 150, 160 tops. His floor right about now is probably about 120. With Football Manager, you never know. 120 could be his ceiling to save. 160 could be his ceiling to save. The fact that he's 3-star current, 3-star potential as compared to the rest of the guys on the squad, I'd be happy if he topped out about 130, 140. I just need players to contribute. Jaro Riedewald is a very capable defensive left back, but he's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Will Hughes is a player I probably wouldn't have signed. 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability, can play the winger, can play the midfield. And then you have the problem of Wilf Zaha. And I say that because he is perhaps the best player on the squad in terms of ability. He's 3.5-star current ability, 3.5-star potential ability. He's got the skills. The problem is he's 28 years old and he's getting to the point where he wants to leave for European football. He's a team leader. He's getting a decent amount of money. He can score. He can play a bunch of positions really, really well. The problem is if we move him, no matter when we sell him, is it City or United? It's Manchester. I'm almost positive it's United. Yeah. Man United gets 25% of the transfer fee. So we'll have to wait and see. Sheku Kouyaté is wanted by Real Madrid, and chances are I will probably move him on, and we'll see why here in a minute. Vincent Guiata is solid in goal. He's just 34 years old, and he's not getting any better. At this point, he's not getting any worse. Jordan Ayew, Jeffrey Schlupp, Nathaniel Klein, Martin Kelly, James MacArthur, James Tompkins, Jack Butland, Joel Ward, they all fall into that category of, in America, we call them lunch pail guys. They don't excel at any one thing. They have a job. They know how to do their job really, really well. And they don't try and do anything outside of that on a regular basis. They're all solid players. They're all contributors. They're all older. And that is really the problem with Palace. If we look at the average age in Crystal Palace is 27 years old. And that is because we have a ton, and I mean a ton, of youth players that are bringing that down. If we took the youth players out, the average age would easily be 30 years old. And almost all of our playmakers, with the exception of Eze and Edouard, and maybe Mitchell, and possibly Ferguson, are 24 years or older. And that includes Mateta. He's 24. So we should be able to get a few nice seasons out of him, assuming something doesn't happen. Chances are he's going to play at least 12 games for us. He'll get 12 games for us before winter. I like to play 2-striker formation up top. We're probably going to play a 4-2-4. Depends on how the midfield and the defenders check out. But looking at this, the defenders will check out fine. We got Gallagher and Milivojevic, so that'll be the midfield. We'll set that up here in a minute. And so it's just a matter of finding... This season is going to be a matter of staying in the Premier League, getting the most we can out of our older players while bringing in younger players and getting those younger players playing time to replace the older players in the next couple of years, assuming they move on or they don't leave. Now, it is 2022 right now. It's July. It's like Tompkins is out of contract. MacArthur is out of contract. Christian Benteke, 2.5-star current ability, 2.5-star potential ability. One of the great quips of all time in American sports is look like Tarzan, play like Jane. And he is very much in that mold. As a target man, he is probably one of the best out there. It's just everything else about his game absolutely annoys me. And I'm sure he's a very nice guy in real life. He's had some issues on the field that have driven coaches up the wall. The penalty kick with Palace a couple years ago being one of them. He was really good at Villa, which convinced Liverpool to pay, £32.5 million for him. And then he was only there for a couple of years before Liverpool somehow, well, to be frank, they pulled a fast one on Palace. When he was at Liverpool, he started 29 games, had 9 goals, and somehow they convinced Palace that was worth $29.5 million. He rewarded Palace with a very good first season, and then he absolutely disappeared. He kind of came back last season, but I don't think it was enough, especially for a 30-year-old whose physicals are already starting to decline. So we got Michael Olise. I'm sorry, I forgot Olise earlier. He is also a very good midfielder. If we look at the under-23 squad, potential-wise, there is some here. Jairich Baguelu is an Australian who would have to improve really, really quickly. Jaserun Rekseki is a winger with some potential, except for the fact his determination is a 1. I hate low determination players. His off-the-ball positioning are also not good. It will require a lot of training in the next 3 or 4 years for him to really improve and stay on the squad. In the meantime, he'll get under 23 ball. Players like Jack Rolls and Luke Dreher are backups for the first teamers in case they should go down and leave. I don't see them as full-time starters. Nia Kirby also fits very much in that vein. A lot of these guys are wanted. I will probably send the wanted people out on loan. Make money as best we can, as fast as we can to kind of help because we need it. And then if we look at the under-18 squad, we do have some interesting people here. Teo Ademirola is a very promising defensive left back. The wife came home from work and I forgot where I was. So Teo Ademirola is a youth player with a lot of potential. 1.5-star current ability, 5-star potential ability, physically already pretty good. Mentally, yeah, he needs some improvement in a couple areas, but the decision-making, determination, flair is nice. Flair on a defensive left back. But, you know, I would almost train him as a wing back. I don't tend to play wing backs. Crossing, dribbling, finishing are very nice. The first touch is adequate. The passing and technique are very, very good. I would send him out on loan, but I may actually just move him to the senior squad and get him into the rotation along with Mitchell. You can never have enough good young defensive backs. Adler Nascimento is a 16-year-old with a lot of potential, 1.5-star current ability, 4.5-star potential ability. Definitely needs some improvement, but a 17 pace and a 16 acceleration. If only his stamina was up there. Caden Rodney is a defensive right back who can also play midfield. 1-star current ability, 4-star potential ability. Again, you know, prospect, 16 years old, but that's sort of what you expect. And then pretty much a whole lot of nothing. Coaching-wise, I would not expect a lot of these guys to remain. I'll keep Sean Derry. I'll keep Gary Issott. Derry more because he's very, very good across the board. Issott because I believe in giving the guy an opportunity. I mean, he's not bad. He's not the best, but he's not bad. Ocean Roberts, there's better options out there. And so we'll keep Christian Wilson, Saeed Agoon will keep Michael Eglon, Chris Petrie, Jamie Goldsmith. We're going to go. My performance, I'll check it, look at that. Dean Keeley. And we'll go ahead and keep him. I just got to remember the clicking I got to do. There we go. So that is the coaching staff. Again, if we look over here, it's not the best. I mean, we're average 14th, 7th, 6th. So we're top half. We need to get top third, I believe. If we take a look at we don't have a second 11. The under 23s. Good God, that's horrible. We'll keep McCarthy there at least for a season. And the under 18s. A lot of holes. So we have an opportunity to at least improve that there. Rob Quinn traded. Ida Rubio. 16-16 contract. We're going to offer you a new contract. You are going to be my under 18s head coach. 3 years. Suggest terms. You want 2.7. I'm okay with that. So the other problem we're going to run into. So we're going to step out. We're going to step away from this. I'm going to do the vast majority of this offline between this episode and the next episode. If we look at our transfer history this year, we let a lot of players go on freeze. On the ins, we've spent $63 million, and I'm kind of bummed about this because I would have liked to have done the transfer window myself, but at the same time, I can't really complain with some of the people they've brought in. Joaquin Anderson, Mark Guehi, Michael Elise, and Otso and Edward are really, really good pickups. Now, they probably overpaid for a couple of them, Elise in particular, Edward in particular, and probably Joaquin Anderson, but in order to get the players to Palace, you had to overpay. Adler Nascimento, they bought from Peterborough for $500,000 just based on the fact that he might turn into something good down the road. Conor Gallagher is a very good loan pickup. He's actually doing very well in real life. I suspect if Palace tried to buy him, Chelsea would command the Queen's ransom. So, we're kind of up a creek there. On the outs, a lot of names familiar to people who kind of sort of follow Palace or Premier League football. You get Gary Cahill, Scott Dan, Andros Townsend, Connor Wickham, he of the legs that always seem to be broken or knees that seem to be bad. Sam Woods, Brandon Pierrick, Mamadou Sakho, James McCarthy. They all left on freeze. Sion Spence left on a free. He was someone who had potential at some point in time. The problem is, with all that and all the spending and everything, we currently have $1.8 million in the transfer budget. We have $1.5 million in the payroll budget, and we're currently spending $1.493. So there's not a lot of wiggle room. We have to sell players or move players on to survive this season, for lack of a better word. One of the things that is in our favor, affiliated-wise, well, this is odd. At one point in time, I thought this was already taken care of. So, okay, Dulwich Hamlet doesn't have a loan agreement either. So Vanarama North, Vanarama South. I'm going to look for an affiliate club, maybe a League 2 or League 1 club. We'll see what ends up happening. And at some point in time, we're also going to have to get an overseas affiliate, if only because if I do sign a youth player who doesn't get a work permit, I can send them to that overseas affiliate, and they could possibly play there. We got our work cut out for us. In the league, we are currently tipped to finish 16th. 600 to 1. And that, we could finish 16th, we could finish 7th. We might actually pip our way up into 6th. It depends on how the guys perform. So, we got our work cut out for us. This season is going to be one where we're hanging on by our fingernails to avoid relegation. We got to go out, we got to find players to replace the ones we have, maybe bring a couple in on loan to bolster the squad. We got to improve the coaching. We have to improve the scouting. If they want to improve through youth, we have to improve the scouting. So what's going to happen between now and the next episode, when we'll play our first game, I don't know that we'll do a double header. I'm going to go through, make the coaching changes, make the scouting changes. I'm going to set up some of the tools I use to help with scouting and the like, and show you guys that, and then we'll get it underway. This is going to be a 7-season project. It is currently the 8th of November. My planned upload schedule is Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm aiming for about 8 to 9 episodes a season. That seems to fit in really well. If point when we do get to European football, if we do get to European football, and we should get to European football, that will probably go to 9 or 10 episodes a season, but a season every 2 weeks is a good thing to shoot for. First or second week of January, we will be done, and then it's going to be on to my full-time save, which I am still working on. I have a really good idea in mind. I just have to get some editing done because there's a couple of rules I need to tweak. It's going to be kind of similar to this one, but completely different. And I realize it doesn't make sense when you say it out loud, but you'll understand when I start doing it. So that said, they got Man City picked to finish first, followed by Liverpool and Chelsea. Everton, Watford, Norwich, and Brentford are behind us. We have an aging squad with capable players and young players who can make an impact. And if they do make that impact, we should finish mid-table. That is my goal, mid-table. If we finish above that, I will be absolutely ecstatic. If we finish below that, I'll be upset, but not as upset as I will be if we get relegated. If we get relegated, getting back and getting up to the Champions League and winning it in 7 years, which that's the goal. 7 years to win the Champions League. We got our work cut out for us. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. So come along, watch the journey, watch me fall flat on my face a couple times, pick myself up, badly mispronounce names, make tactical mistakes, and have fun doing it. So if you did like what you've seen and heard, please have a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, questions, criticisms, comments, leave those down below. I will answer those as fast as I can. My name is FM22. I thank you for watching.